Hi, welcome to another Power Blast podcast. Got health and fitness goals for the upcoming year? Every New Year's, people tend to set goals to get their health and fitness on track, and I'm going to share with you the challenges and the pitfalls that I've faced on how to approach things differently so that you have the most successful year. Stay tuned. Hey there, my friend Perry Tinsley here, creator of the Power Blast podcast, The Power of Possibility, Passion, and Purpose. We're into a new year here, and some people are lean toward doing resolutions. Others say, no, I'm going to say no to resolutions. I'm just going to work on progressing the best I can with some things that I want to accomplish, however you want to word it. A lot of times at the beginning of the year, people want to They reevaluate things. They look at what worked, what were the wins from the past year, and what didn't work. What things do I want to look at moving forward? What do I want to revisit? And for a lot of people, it ends up being some health and fitness goals related somehow. Maybe it might even just be, I got a little bit off track during the holiday season and I want to get back on track. It could be something as simple as that. Where others, maybe they're drawing a line in the sand and saying, you know what? I'm moving forward. And I applaud a lot of you out there that I've talked to have decided, you know what, I'm not waiting until the beginning of the year and then kind of getting a slow start. I'm hitting the ground running toward the end of December. I applaud you for that. You may be at the point where you're just at the beginning of the year. And probably as you're listening to this recording or watching it, waving at you if you're on YouTube. It just gets to be, there's some different mindsets. There's some things that if you address these certain things, just the common mistakes, at least from my experience that I've made, and I know a lot of others that I've made, and I've helped them break through in past years so they could have success. Because a lot of times we set these goals, we maybe start on them pretty ambitiously, and then fall off track. And then we strive to get back on a few times during the year. It gets away from us, and here we are at the beginning of another year, reevaluating, saying, this is my year, right? So, okay, here's some things. Having the all or nothing mindset and just going too fast too soon. That happens. It happened with me, and I had to really dial it back. This is where I fell off track so many times. I mean, you maybe have found the best equipment or the most ideal gym set up at your home, or the best gym that you've joined, or you may have the best streaming workout out there, the one thing that's just going to change your life forever. And a lot of times you get going full on at the beginning of the year, but things become hard to sustain. And that was one of the things that I was always striving for once I was getting my results. I'm like, if this is going to be a lifetime deal and I'm going to keep progressing and keep going at it, it's got to be sustainable. It's got to be something I'm going to show up for. And a lot of times we stack on all of these big healthy habits that we're going to do when we haven't really streamed them in or figured out how we're going to do this when life gets a little bit crazy or life gets a little bit sideways. And that can take you off track. And so you want to keep focusing on progress, right? And you might even have the mindset that if you can't give it your all, like if you get off track or something like that, and if you can't give it 100%, it's not worth doing. And I tell you what, even if you give 50% consistently, you're going to be a lot farther ahead than going all or nothing and tending to lean toward the nothing part, because we've all been there with that mindset. So here's the thing. Keep striving to make things sustainable. Gradual change over the course of months. Yes, it will take months. A lot of times people think there's just going to be this miracle thing that happens within a few weeks. And, everything, the endorphins of I'm never ever stopping is going to kick in. And it just doesn't, You want to make it doable. And there's no change too small when it comes to creating a healthy and sustainable lifestyle. If you've ever read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I've read some of his blog post stuff, he says, develop a ritual to make starting easier. Habits are behaviors that you repeat over and over again, and it means they're behaviors that you'll start over and over again. And if you don't get consistently started, you won't have a habit, right? So in many ways, building a new habit is simply just an exercise in getting started time after time. A lot of times, many of us, we put a story in our head that tells us why we can't, or we procrastinate so far. And I'm going to give you some procrastination tips in a little bit. But we do these things and we just never get started, okay? So it means you want to find a way to make starting easier. It's building routines, maybe laying out your clothes ahead of time. It's building a ritual by stacking your exercise habit on top of a current habit, by setting a schedule for yourself. For example, you can set your intention of exercise by filling out this sentence. I love this sentence, and I've shared it with many groups that I've done. Here's a sentence, and you fill in the blanks. During the next week, I will exercise on, and then tell what day it is, tell what time of day it is, at or in what the place is, where you're going to do it. So I will exercise on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 6:30 a.m. in my home gym. And setting that. And you be sure you get that down. Okay? And so, and it makes, the other tip here is to make, start with an exercise that is ridiculously small, so you make it a habit. I've coached people to do, and you probably heard this on the podcast before, coach people to create a no matter what workout, especially when motivation is low. But for me, it was just, I'm committing to at least 15 minutes of whatever the exercise is for the day. It's at least 15 minutes. Even if it's a program that I dreaded, I'm like, I'm just going to do 15 minutes. If 15 minutes isn't great, fine, but I showed up. Because in my brain, that means I showed up, I stayed in action, and I did something. Now, I know a lot of you out there that are the all or nothing mindset. You're like, nope, if it's not an hour. But no, you're creating habits here, okay? That's why I've led many people to say, create a 10-minute no matter what workout. Whether it's part of a streaming workout or it's a series of exercises or whatever, it's what you're going to get in that day if you can't get on your schedule or if you're just not into it. And James Clear says to focus on the habit first and the results later. That's where a lot of us get stuck. I got to look to see, there was a great quote today by Autumn Calabrese. I saw, she said, focus on the, I'm gonna mess this up, but it's something to the fact of focus on the weight you'll lift versus the weight that you lose. Okay, so you're striving to just increase in the weight and the strength and your endurance versus the number on a scale. That's pretty powerful stuff. So James Clear was saying, focus on the habit first and the results later. It's better to focus on the system rather than the goal. And that's where I think a lot of us get stuck. We've got these big, lofty goals. And that's the next tip for you is having unrealistic expectations. That was me. I wanted to lose 50 pounds. And that seems so far away. And I know there's a lot of you out there who want to lose over 100. That's so far away. Expectations mean nothing if they can't be met and maintained. So many people have crazy, wild goals that sets them up for failure. Not saying that it can't be accomplished. But when my friend Judy said, my goal is to lose, I think it was 220 pounds she wanted to lose. She wanted to get, it was about 220 pounds. 220 pounds? Yeah, she was at 220 pounds she wanted to lose. And that just seems such an enormous amount. But what she started focusing on was 2 pounds at a time. The next 2 pounds, the next 2 pounds, the next 2 pounds. That's repeatable. That's doable. Sometimes she would get to the next 2 pounds. Sometimes it would only be 1 pound. But she had a little coloring thing that when she got the next 2 pounds, the thing got colored in. And she just kept focused on the next 2 pounds, next 2 pounds. However long it took to lose the next 2 pounds. That's what I did. I focused on the next belt loop notch. I didn't focus on the scale at all. I know there are people and plans where you get on the scale and you track it each day for just data, not to get in your head and beat yourself up or say, gosh, this isn't working. It's just data, information, realizing what you're eating or what you're doing can have an impact on the scale. But I didn't even get on the scale. All I wanted to do was follow the exercise plan 6 days a week, check off the box that I showed up. That's it. Focusing on the next belt loop notch, the next belt loop notch. Focus on the smaller milestones, and that's going to lead you there. Make every goal you set small and achievable, and that will get you to where you want to go. It's going to give you momentum to keep going. And if you're a procrastinator, I told you I'd give you some tips. Things set into motion tend to stay in motion. So when you're unmotivated, your best way to get through it is to take action and get started. Do them no matter what. That's what I did. When I couldn't get myself motivated to work out, I showed up for the first 15 minutes. Almost every time I finished the workout. Just because I showed up for the first 15 minutes and then I got going. I got into motion. And just pick one thing. A lot of times we pick these health goals and everything. We try to do everything all at once and it becomes overwhelming. Just pick one thing. Even if it's just your no matter what workout, 10 minutes a day. A buddy of mine, he did 10-minute workouts. I gave him 10-minute workouts. He did them every single day for a year. Nothing else. Lost 40 pounds. 10 minutes. And set a deadline for yourself. When you want to achieve, when you shoot for the strength. I want to be doing 20 push-ups by the middle of February. 20 consecutive push-ups, whatever it is to push yourself. Here's the next thing, the next misstep, I guess. It can be. It's not necessarily one, but it's doing it all by yourself. Now, I did do this all by myself. I kind of was like this little closet exerciser at the beginning. And it wasn't until I realized by having support, by having motivation, by getting a success buddy, that things became more accountable, a lot better. I stuck with things a lot more. So while some do very well being independent, most need a support system. So having a success buddy works well. It can be an in-person thing. It can be virtual. It's the very reason why I set up my fitness groups online and people join month after month so we can help support each other and motivate each other along the way and tag each other and call each other out. Where are you at? Show up. The other thing is to start working out. This is a big one. Take a little pause here for a second. Starting to work out and exercise without having a plan. Man, oh man, all the years and time I wasted by getting a gym membership and going there, looking at the machines and winging it. I'm just going to go around this little circle, this circuit. I'm going to go over in those weights. Watch what other people are doing. I'll do that. Okay? I didn't have a plan. Each day I went there, winging it. Have an exercise plan. That's a big one. It's a huge reason why I failed year after year. And having a plan for exactly what you will do each day, even when you get to the point where you're like, oh, it's leg day, or oh my gosh, it's, arms. I don't want to do, whatever it is, you're going to have those workouts some that you like better than others. But having a plan, what you'll do each day, is the best way to keep you moving forward and to track how far you've come. And here's the big thing. It takes the guesswork out of what you have to do each day. You're not wasting time. So here is an example. I recently lived in an apartment complex, huge gym in there. And I watched people. I would go in. I would have my plan. I followed streaming workouts, so I'd follow the streaming thing there. I'd work through the workout. I'd track it. I would be in and out while I watched a lot of other people that were there before me, meandering around, trying to figure things out, and they were still there after me, meandering around, trying to figure things out. And I know that they wouldn't last in the gym that long, maybe a few weeks, and I didn't see them again. Not getting the results. That's what you got to do. Just follow the plan. Trust the process. And make sure your plan is something that you can stick with and something that you'll relatively enjoy. Now, I get it. Exercise is kind of a drag. Until you start getting the results, it's kind of a pain. but you know it's necessary. You know the reasons why you need to do it. So you just got to set aside that mental hang up and find something that you know that you can at least stick to. And look, let's talk about a little bit with nutrition stuff. Looking forward to the food that you're going to eat, the healthy food that you're going to eat, is a big part of it too. And that took me a long time to transition into the vegetable stuff. Now I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole here, but just find those enjoyable workouts and appreciate the new habits that you're trying to develop, and appreciate yourself for showing up. Now, those are the main ones that I thought of. And here's a few other ones I thought of as I was going along here. Having goals that are too vague. Now, I knew that I wanted to lose 50 pounds. I knew I wanted to lose my beer gut. And I knew that I wanted to stop buying larger clothing. And ideally, I wanted to fit into sizes like right around the 34 to 32. That just seemed like, gosh, that if I could get to that, okay. But a lot of times people say they just want to lose weight. They just want to get in shape. They just want to get toned. Those are too vague. That is not going to get you out of bed in the morning. I'm going to get up and lose some weight. No, I've got that clothing, those jeans that I want to get. They're right there. I had a friend of mine, Carol. She went and purposely bought a shirt that she wanted to fit into, 2 sizes too small. She's like, this is the coolest shirt ever. I'm going to work my butt off and fit into that shirt. I'm going to earn that shirt. And she hung it on the wall. That was her motivation. So do you know what it feels like to lose weight, to eat more vegetables? Probably not. Those aren't the things. But you are most likely to know what it feels like to have more energy, to feel more confident, to feel more confident what's like in your clothing, when you're feeling happy, when something looks good on you. And connecting that emotion to your goals, that's what Carol did. She looked up at that shirt, and she did some wildlife rescue, raccoon rescue, and it was a raccoon shirt. And I'm looking up here at the wall as if I'm seeing it up there, and that brought a feeling, that brought an emotion to her. I want to wear that, and that feeling and that emotion of what it's going to be like when you achieve your goals, and you're going to keep pushing until you achieve your goals. Huge motivating factor. So to ensure the goals that you set aren't too vague, make them super specific. Drill down into what it actually looks like for you. Maybe it's feeling confident in a 2-piece bathing suit for your summer vacation. Maybe it's feeling fit enough to complete a 5K this coming spring. Maybe it's just taking 5 minutes to list down how you'll feel when you reach those goals. That's what you're wanting to dig toward, and allow yourself to have that imagination and tap into that. That's where a lot of people don't dig into. They just put in this fluffy number. They don't have a reason why. Sometimes people will say, Perry, I want to lose 50 pounds. I'm like, oh, wow, cool, I think. Why 50? Well, I've been heavy. I just needed to lose this weight. Okay? And there's no emotion to it. So we talk about, what will it feel like? What will that enable you to do? And then when people are like, well, gosh, I'd like to walk upstairs without getting winded. I'd like to sit in an airplane seat without having to get the seatbelt extender. I'd like to be able to go on an amusement park ride without having to feel that bar come down on me and make me super uncomfortable. It's those things. It's like tapping into that motion. What will that feel like? It's picturing yourself on vacation. It's feeling the sun on your skin. It's hearing the ocean crashing in, or crossing that finish line at the 5K, and your family and your friends cheering you on. It's that stuff, that feeling. You need to have that visualization. Get specific of what it's going to look like and what it's going to feel like. That's going to pull you out of bed in the morning. That's going to keep you motivated, right? One more big one here. Lacking belief in yourself it's another huge one. You may be wanting a certain size, or lose a certain amount of weight, but do you actually believe that you can get to that? Now, I've got a lot of friends now. We're getting a little bit up there in age, and a lot of friends that are still thinking about the size that they were wearing back in high school. It's like, cool. Do you believe that you can do that? If you can believe it, then and see it in your mind, then you can achieve it. But if you don't believe with your ability to stick with something, you probably aren't going to. And I think that's what a lot of times people are just searching for, is that magic thing of what will force me to stick with it. It's something external. And really, it needs to boil down to something internal. So it's looking at another part of, looking at another part of your life where you have to become competent. So think of this. I kind of phrased that wrong. Think of a part of your life where you're really good at. Maybe it's a work, maybe it's where you work, or a hobby, or some sort of thing that you've learned where you're super competent at. And think about, how did I get competent at it? I was talking with this lady that was a technology instructor. And somebody was asking her, well, how confident are you at teaching me Excel or Word? And she's like, oh, I got that down. It's like, yeah, I bet you're kind of a slacker. You probably aren't all that great. No, she's like, try me. Come to any of my classes. You'll walk out of there knowing Excel inside and out. So he's asking her, well, how did you get so competent at that? How do you know? How do you know that you're so good at that? You're confident and you're competent, and you become competent through repetition, dedication, and practice. For some people, it takes them up to 1,000 hours or 10,000 hours. What was it? Jim Collins wrote a book, Good to Great, saying 10,000 hours putting in gets somebody to mastery. So if you apply that same mentality to your health and fitness goals, instead of making it fluffy, but just know every day I'm putting in the practice, I'm putting in the dedication, I'm putting in the time, I'm going to become competent at this. And along the way, my confidence will rise. Confidence is a skill. It can be learned. And sometimes it's just changing the perspective to help you out, to help you get out of that, this will never happen, or I don't believe it, and flipping it into, I totally believe in myself. I know I can do this. I've done other hard things before. I've got proof. I've overcome big things. So remember these 3 phrases. I am worthy. I am capable. I am deserving. Okay, I said the last one was the last one, but here's the last one. You might have a goal that's too time consuming. When a goal is taking too much of your time, there's a larger barrier to entry. Now, for me, my goal, I was doing workouts, and they were taking about 25 minutes, and that was like perfect. And then it started to ramp up into like 45 minutes to an hour workouts. And then I'm looking at it going, gosh, I just should bail on this, because it was in my mind, I couldn't schedule it. And then I stepped back and went, why can't I just readjust my schedule, and do things a little bit differently? But for a lot of times, people, they'll sign up for a gym, and they're not realizing that it's the gym, it's the time to drive there, it's picking up things, and there's all these other little things that add up to what is called the exercise time. It's not just going in and getting a 30-minute workout at the gym. It's the extra things to get you there and to get ready and get prepped and stuff like that. And if it's taking up too much of your time, sometimes it's not doable. So make it realistic for yourself. And if you need extra focus and support on the journey, and you find that you've been struggling for a long time and stuck on this fitness roller coaster, and you want to dig deeper into some of these things, we're talking about, as you're going along, where life always seems to be throwing barrier and obstacle and sidetracking you over and over and over again. Maybe you've been doing this for years. For sure, you want to sign up for my next upcoming, I think it's coming up in a few weeks, and then I may be doing another one, my next free 5-day workshop. If you give me 5 days, you're going to crack the code to burning stubborn fat, to building lean muscle, to having endless energy. No matter what fitness or diet plan you're following, you're going to learn about targeting the hidden and mentally and emotional barriers that are holding you back. For a lot of people, that's the big one, and crushing your top limiting belief. And you'll get my step-by-step framework to bust through those top barriers and achieve every single one of your health and fitness goals. And we're also going to sidestep any guilt that you may have for not succeeding in the past. Maybe you bought an elaborate elliptical machine. I know I did at one point, and I was just guilty every time I saw it because clothing hung over it and I never used it. So if you're somebody that's always stopping and starting your exercise plan, or you feel guilty and frustrated every year after year when your fitness goals are failed, and you're bummed every time that you need to buy new clothing, and you're mad because the results never seem to come fast enough, but you have to do something, join me for the free 5-day online workshop, because I will help you break out of the monotonous routine and turn everything that you think you know about nutrition, fitness, weight loss completely upside down. You can join me at upsidedownfit.com. Once again, that's upsidedownfit.com. You'll get all the details there. That's all I have for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. I know, a long podcast, but hey, this was a big one, and I really wanted to help you with these challenges. Please share, subscribe, leave an honest rating and review in your podcast app so others can receive this training. You are absolutely awesome for doing that. And if you're over on YouTube, waving at you YouTubers, if you're over there, please hit subscribe and smash that notifications button so that you get the updates each time a new episode drops. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.